Welcome to the 34th Annual Iowa City Human Rights Commission's Awards Breakfast. Mahatma Mohandas Gandhi wrote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." A nation's culture resides in the hearts and in the soul of the people. Annually, the Commission holds this awards breakfast to highlight the work that is occurring in our city, to celebrate human rights by recognizing impressive and worthy individuals, organizations in our community, and to hear the inspiring words of our distinguished keynote speaker. I would like to share a brief history of the Commission and what we do. The Human Rights Commission was established in August 1963 by the City Council to serve as a community resource addressing issues of inequalities that were occurring at that time. Today, 54 years later, we continue to address inequality and injustice, as well as to provide community outreach on matters of discrimination, bias, and human rights. Current members of the Human Rights Commission, in addition to myself, are Chair Kim Hanrahan, Vice Chair Eliza Willis, Andrea Cohen, Adel Adams, Joe Coulter, Jeff Falk, Barbara Kutzko, and Tuante Pena. Please stand if you can to be recognized. In addition to the very distinguished group of honorees we are recognizing here this morning, we also have with us past honorees, former human rights commissioners, elected officials from around the area, and Iowa City staff representing a variety of different city departments. Please stand if you can to be recognized. No one likes to stand, huh? Okay, too early in the morning. I offer our thanks to all of you who took the time to join us this very early morning to support our annual awards program honoring selfless acts by human rights defenders. Your support is very much appreciated. Finally, I leave you with transliteration from the Noble Quran. "And among his wonders is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the diversity of your tongues and colors. For in this, behold, there are messages indeed for all who are possessed with innate knowledge. Behold, we have created you all out of a male and female, and have made you into nations and tribes, so that you might come to know and cherish one another." Tawanya, will you please do the honor of introducing our distinguished keynote speaker, former Iowa Senator and 2003 Iowa Women's Hall of Fame honorees, Ms. Jean Lloyd Jones.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay. My name is Tuante Pena, and I am a member of the Human Rights Commission. Our keynote speaker today is Jean Lloyd Jones. Jean's long and varied career includes multiple terms in the Iowa State Legislature as both representative and senator, establishing and serving as chair of the Iowa Peace Institute, chairing the Council for International Visitors to Iowa City, and working to elect more women to public office through 50-50 in 2020, of which she is a co-founder. Jean was inducted into the Iowa Women's Hall of Fame in 2003 and received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Iowa City Human Rights Commission in 2013. Please help me in welcoming Ms. Jean Lloyd Jones.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to thank the members of the Iowa City Human Rights Commission for inviting me to be your keynoter today, and to extend my congratulations to all the outstanding nominees, winners of the awards. For the second time in my life, I find myself president of the Johnson County chapter of the United Nations Association. The first time was in the 1960s. The UN was very young, and so were all of us. It had 51 members, and there was still a lot of opposition. People warning that the United Nations was going to become a world government and usurp our national sovereignty. Board members, Sandy Boyd, Doris Cohn, Bud Houghton, Nancy Cyberling, and others, organized a tour of homes, and we raised enough money to buy one room in the Jane Addams Refugee House in Austria. There were 200,000 refugees at the time, which we thought was an astronomical number. But we felt that our modest contribution was going to help solve the problem. Now, the UN is dealing with over 22 million refugees and another 40 million people who have been forcibly removed from their communities. Yesterday was UN Day, October 24th, and I have here the proclamation from our mayor to prove it. It is now 72 years old, and it has 193 members. And so far, it has not usurped the sovereignty of a single nation. Together, the member nations are carrying out peacekeeping, health, education, clean energy, and other sustainable development programs. The UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights is the gold standard, though it's far beyond the reach of most inhabitants of the planet. When my 15-year-old grandson took up rowing as a sport, a friend suggested that I read The Boys in the Boat by David James Bram. It's the true story of how, in the depths of the Depression, 9 young men, sons of loggers and shipyard builders and farmers, went to the University of Washington and joined their rowing team. They defeated the elite schools on both coasts and, against great odds, made it to the 1936 Olympics in Berlin and won the gold. The boys in the boat were physically strong and had big egos, and it took them a long time to develop the trust and respect that enabled them to work as a unified team. They did not give up their individuality, but they did have to discipline themselves to pull together for their common goal. When they finally reached the point where all 8 oars entered the water at the same precise instant and came out of the water at the same precise instant, they experienced a tremendous sense of euphoria. The rowing got easier and they began to win races. They were said to have found their swing. This makes a compelling metaphor for the perilous waters we find ourselves in. The boat represents our country, the good old USA. And we are the boys, a motley crew from all over the world, rugged individuals who don't like to be told what to do. And the perilous waters are the extreme partisanship that fuels the frustration and the dysfunction of our governing institutions at all levels. Neither political party has been able to articulate a goal that the majority of the population can support. Both major parties struggle to find their centers. Disappointed voters refuse to talk to old friends if they voted the wrong way in the last election. Former classmates unfriend each other on Facebook, and the media obsesses over the latest tweet. We beat the water with our oars, but our boat does not move forward. If I could wave a magic wand, I would have conflict resolution taught in every public and private school, and night classes for every state legislature and members of Congress. Mary Parker Follett, born in Massachusetts in 1868, invented the field of conflict resolution. I know Roger Fisher gets all the credit, but don't get me started on that. She was a management guru in her day. While helping resolve a conflict between a union that wanted higher wages and management that wanted larger profits, she got them to realize that they did have something in common. Both had a vested interest in the company's survival. With that goal in mind, they were able to reach a solution that was better than what either side had asked for in the beginning. We all need goals to work for. The Old Testament prophet Isaiah said, "Without a vision, the people perish." But 21st century goals don't magically appear out of thin air. The Secretary General of the UN may have the most wonderful goals the world has ever known, but unless the member nations sign on to them, they're dead in the water. If we are to survive as a nation, we must find a vision of the future that a majority of us can embrace. And if we are to accomplish that future, we must pull together for the common good. We must find our swing. So who am I talking about here? Who needs to find their swing? I'm talking about us, the people in this room, and people like us in this community and in our country. People who respect the rights of others, who believe that our survival as a human race depends on cooperation and mutual support rather than confrontation, domination, and destruction. You can start by talking to someone with whom you do not agree politically. Set some ground rules. No blaming or name-calling, no fisticuffs, and no interrupting while the other person is talking. Take turns making your point, accurately repeating back to each other what you heard until each of you is convinced that your thoughts have been understood. Now, you may have to exercise some self-control here to keep from saying, well, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Try something like, and you support that because, how do you see that being implemented? Or what would that look like? Discipline yourself to be patient. It will take as long as it takes. If you find a nugget of common ground, examine it and see if it can be expanded. This is the beginning of building trust. It may seem like hard work at first. Nobody said it would be easy. The easy thing is to keep on talking only to those people who agree with you. And you'll find that lots of folks just want to be heard, and they'll be grateful to you for listening. Roger Fisher's book, Getting to Yes, Negotiating Agreement Without Giving In, was written in 1981, and it's still relevant today. And the more people of all political persuasions who understand the basic skills of principled negotiation and mediation, the better the outcomes are going to be. You do not give up your power when you acknowledge legitimate concerns of those with whom you disagree, nor when you mutually explore other options. You give up your power when you cut off communication. We're all in this boat together, and we're not going to win any races, much less any gold medals, by whacking each other over the head with our oars. Let's discipline ourselves and engage in meaningful discussion about our future. Let's find our human rights swing while we still have time. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Elias Willis, and I am the Vice Chair of the Human Rights Commission, and it's my pleasure to present the awards today to some very deserving honorees. But before I do, I would like to present an award and ask everyone to give another big round of applause to our keynote speaker, Jean Lloyd Jones. Our first recipient of the morning is Officer David Schwindt for the Linda Severson Award. Officer Schwindt has been with the Iowa City Police Department since 2001. In 2013, he began working as the first downtown liaison officer. In that role, he has dedicated himself to building relationships and implementing a variety of community policing strategies. Working with the Johnson County Local Homeless Coordinating Board, Officer Schwindt helped to establish the Low Barrier Winter Shelter. Officer Schwindt reached out to property owners to build support and respond to concerns. He also provided outreach to individuals on the street, encouraging them to come to the shelter. Because of this, up to 175 people are sheltered each winter, thank you, who otherwise would not be. Reports of frostbite, emergency room use, and ambulance calls have all decreased in the 3 years that the winter shelter has been open. Officer Schwindt has also been heavily involved in the Fuse Housing First initiative. This initiative is concerned with individuals who are chronically homeless, repeatedly cycling through services. Officer Schwindt manually identified those with the highest numbers of police contacts and asked them to participate in an analysis of service utilization. 4 agreed to do so. The Fuse team found that over a 4.5-year period, the 4 individuals, 2 of whom died during the study, cost the community over $2 million. Using these data, the team was able to make a case that a permanent housing solution for individuals who are chronically homeless will prove to save both lives and money. As a result of Officer Schwindt's leadership in data sharing and integration, the City of Iowa City was recently recognized by Amazon.com with a grant of $25,000 worth of cloud services to be used towards the city's Data-Driven Justice Initiative, a program intended to reduce incarceration and emergency medical service costs. Officer Schwindt exemplifies the spirit of service to the community. Please give him a warm round of applause.
That's uncomfortable. In 2013, I got this great opportunity to be the first officer assigned to this downtown district position. And since that time, I've had the ability to go out and get to know a lot of people in the community, both in the businesses and on the streets. And that was all because in this position, I wasn't tied down to responding to calls for service like your average officer. I had the time to get to know the people, and I repeatedly heard, "We need more officers like you." And I'm here to assure you that I'm not an anomaly. We have a lot of officers just like me. I just had the opportunity to have that spare time, that extra time to get to go out and build those relationships. And as our keynote said, be willing to have those conversations. I got to go out and have those conversations with people on the street, but they were willing to talk back to me. They were willing, in their vulnerable state, to give me the time to trust me and to build that relationship. And really, it's because of them that I'm here, because they were willing to open themselves up to me, let me know what was going on, and then we could work with the local homeless coordinating board and shelter house to help come up with resolutions, kind of long-term solutions to these. So I'm a piece of this puzzle, but we have a great puzzle here in Iowa City, and thank you very much for this.
Our next recipients are Stella and Bram Elias, both professors at the University of Iowa College of Law. Stella and Bram have served the Iowa City area's immigrant and refugee community tirelessly. They've been involved in service projects such as the Community ID program, which allows any community member an alternative identification card not dependent on state requirements. And they have also been involved in the cooperative effort by state and local bar associations and nonprofits to launch the monthly New Iowans Legal Advice Clinic. In the aftermath of numerous immigration-related executive orders issued in early 2017, the Eliases have devoted many hours to providing legal advice and information to students and community members. and also worked to coordinate and build the capacity of the legal community in eastern Iowa. Stella founded the College of Law's Advanced Immigration Law and Policy Project, and Bram has directed the clinical law program's immigration practice since 2015. In these roles, both have assisted hundreds of students in providing assistance and protecting the rights of marginalized people. The Elias' work in immigration law and policy has made them a perfect fit for the Rick Graf Award. Please welcome them with your applause.
Well, thank you all. We'd first like to thank our colleague at Iowa Law, Professor Brian Farrell, for nominating us for this award. Those of you who know Brian know that he is himself a tireless advocate for human rights and a great supporter of immigrant communities, and we are grateful to him for that and for his guidance and friendship during the just over 5 years that we've been here in Iowa City. And we also want to thank all of our friends who over the last few weeks have shared personal stories with us about Rick Graf. I mean, what an honor to receive an award in his name.
So the dirty little secret about professors like us, or at least some professors like us, is that we don't actually do very much. We have terrific students, and they're highly motivated, and they do a lot. And we mostly stand behind them while they do that, nodding and trying to look smart and saying things like, good job, B+. Or, nice effort, we should try harder in the future, B+. It's a tight grading curve. But we've been blessed with students who are smart and creative and passionate and inexhaustible. We have tried desperately to exhaust them, and we have failed to do it yet. They do terrific work, and on days like today, it's really a delight to see their work honored with an award like this.
And so with our wonderful students in mind, the main thing that we want to say this morning is thank you to all of you for making Iowa City such an amazing place for these young lawyers who we work with every day to grow and develop their professional identities. There are so many role models in this community, many of whom are in this room, who are showing our students every day through the practical work they do, just like our predecessor who just received his award, showing how to build a commitment to justice into your daily life. And so we're really just grateful to be here in Iowa City and to have the opportunity to work with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The 2017 Kenneth Cmiel Award goes to Kimberly Shiu. Kimberly has accomplished an impressive amount of research at a young age. A Boston University student pursuing a master's degree in public health, she's already been part of public health projects on 3 continents. In the United States, she's conducted research into Alzheimer's disease, worked with food banks, and researched the effects of nutrition on aging. In Switzerland, Kim worked for the permanent mission of the Republic of Honduras, representing the mission at the United Nations and other international organizations in Geneva. In Guatemala, she has conducted research on malnutrition and growth stunting in children, as well as teaching English at a preschool. Her research in Guatemala resulted in co-authoring 4 papers for publication. As a student, Kim has made outstanding contributions to human rights. It will be interesting to see what she does in the years to come. Kim is currently in Boston, so Barb Riley, her former AP biology teacher, is accepting on her behalf. Please give Barb a warm welcome.
Kim is 22. Every teacher should have a Kim Shiu. I'd like to recognize her parents who are here this morning, Wai-Yin Chan and Dr. Elias Shiu. They have 5 children. all around the world, 4 time zones, they informed me, and they're all doing things that promote and help health, awareness of people having food shortages, malnutrition, so hats off. Kim said thanks.
Before I present this award, I would like to acknowledge that Bill Reagan's daughter, Stephanie, is here with us this morning. Stephanie, could you stand if you're able? Stephanie, your father was an amazing person who is truly missed by all in this community. Thank you for continuing to shine in his light. The recipient of the Bill Reagan Award for 2017 is Greg Hearns. Greg has spent many years as a member of Teamsters Local 238. When he was elected to the negotiating committee in 1998, his life suddenly changed. Greg began volunteering to work on local and national political campaigns for the local, and was soon asked to join the Teamsters National Black Caucus. He was then hired as a business representative for Local 238, which allowed him to continue his activism on behalf of workers' rights. Approximately 6 years ago, he was involved in launching the Immigrant Voices Project, which is known today as the Center for Worker Justice of Eastern Iowa. This coalition of labor, community activists, faith leaders, and local elected officials has been responsible for major victories in the areas of housing, wage theft, minimum wage increases, and inclusiveness. To this day, Greg continues to serve on the Center's Finance Committee. Greg is the current president of the Iowa City Federation of Labor and a trustee for his Teamsters Local. He also serves on the e-board for the Teamsters Credit Union and the Teamsters Community Action Network. Craig's outstanding contributions to supporting workers' rights make him a natural recipient of the Bill Reagan Award. Please give Greg a round of applause.
Wow, I didn't recognize that person she was introducing. First of all, I'd like to say it's a pleasure and an honor to be in the room with so many influential and important people. I guess now I can consider myself to be one of those. I'd like to thank the Iowa City Human Rights Commission for presenting me with this award. It means a lot. You know, I don't do these kind of things for awards. I do it because I believe in it. I also would be remiss without thanking Henry Harper for nominating me for this award. You know, I've watched Henry over the years since I've known him work tirelessly to make lives better for at-risk kids in the Johnson County area. And, you know, he's one of my heroes too. I'm proud to be the current president of the Iowa City Federation of Labor, you know, which is a coalition of 22 labor unions representing thousands of members around the Johnson County area and fighting for working families. We've partnered with the CWJ and local elected officials to fight wage theft, fight against the displacement of families living in affordable housing, and fighting to increase the minimum wage and just all around quality of life for people in Johnson County. This reward is a reflection of that work and the people that I work with to accomplish these things. I also want to thank my work family who encourage me, support me, and tolerate me on a daily basis. I've never considered myself a leader, but I've learned that sometimes others see something in you that you may not see in yourself, and for that I'm grateful. If you ask each award recipient today, they would tell you, we don't do what we do for recognition, but because of the need to give people a voice who are oftentimes ignored. The last thing I want to say might be a little controversial, but there's been a lot of discussion lately about disrespecting the flag and the national anthem because so many of our, wonderful soldiers have died for that freedom. But I also would like to point out that we've had a lot of citizens die for the right to collective bargain. We have a lot of citizens die for the right to vote. And we have a lot of citizens who died for each and every one of us to have civil rights and human rights. And at some point in my life, I would like to see those individuals get the same respect. Thank you very much.
Our last, but by far not least, recipients today are Helen Paige Martin and Fred Martin Jr. for the Isabel Turner Award. Although Fred sadly passed away in 2003, Helen continues to carry the torch for their lifelong dedication to service. After moving from Texas to Iowa City in 1950 for the express purpose of ensuring equality, segregation-free education for their children, the Martins began providing food, clothing, and shelter to local African American families, young people, and students. Their home became known as an oasis for young African Americans and others working to better their lives. Fred assisted many young people in finding jobs and offered positive role modeling to countless young men from his home state of Texas and youth in his church. Fred served for many years as the coach of one of the first all-girl baseball teams in Iowa City. Both Fred and Helen at different times received Father and Mother of the Year awards. Fred and Helen both became leaders in the Iowa City Church of the Nazarene, where they focused on outreach to youth and families that were low income. Helen became famous for the excellent Sunday dinner she provided. The many student athletes who enjoyed those dinners were often asked to pay it forward by providing positive role modeling of academic achievement to local youth and members of Fred's Sunday school classes. Helen, even today, at the age of 96, continues to provide outreach and support to others, including church and community leadership. She opens her home as a place for Bible study and Christian leadership. Fred and Helen represent what service truly means, and this award is long overdue. Please recognize Helen and the late Fred Martin Jr. for all their support of this community. One of their daughters, Dr. Rosalind Martin, will accept on behalf of her parents today.
I was told when I walked in the door I had 2 minutes, and so don't worry that I'm going to preach because you see a Bible. Mom is so thrilled, but she was hospitalized this past week and just got home this weekend. Just wasn't strong enough to come. But she's so thankful to all of you, the Human Rights Commission and family and friends, for this nomination and recognition for she and Daddy. Back in the late 50s, 40s, my uncle, my mom's brother, went to Jim Crow, rural Texas, and told my dad and mom that if they came to Iowa, they'd be able to get a desegregated education for their children. And so, these are the results of that sacrifice. There are at least 2 tassels hanging on this hanger. They actually began on a hook back in 1964 that soon became a nail in our kitchen. If we had a hanger with tassels for the thousands of people that they helped come to Iowa or be educated in Iowa in order to achieve a way out, there'd be a closet full. And we're grateful because we were raised that way. Mom, when she left, she came with her family Bible. She committed herself to telling everyone that Jesus loves them and spoke about the power of prayer. And what's amazing is that it didn't take a 6 feet by 6 feet unfinished pine wood box in public classrooms housing Iowa's disabled and African American children to do it. And if she were standing before you today, this is what she'd say. After having raised 4 social workers, 5 educators, and spending the last 10 years of her professional career as a babysitter, child caregiver, she'd say, stop turning Iowa's teachers into undertakers and correctional officers. And so it is our prayer, as we are typical Martins, that next year's Isabel Turner Award recipient will be the individual or family or Human Rights Commission, Senator Jones, thank you, that's responsible for advocating for and the demolition of those in-classroom desensitization, pre-death incarceration facilities. Get them out of the classroom, because we've learned that they are not deterrents. The criminal justice system, the criminal justice system is filled with proof that it doesn't work. And so, my dad, if he were here today, he would say this to you. Tell old Pharaoh to let my children grow.
Wow. So inspirational, so inspirational. Let's give all of our awardees today, those who are here and those who could not be here, another round of applause, please. My name is Barbara Kutzko, and I'm also a member of the Human Rights Commission. And in closing, I would like to thank each of you for coming this morning, for getting up so early and joining us this morning. To your support of these programs and these awards is crucial to the vitality of our community. We also wish to thank Senator Jean Lloyd Jones for your inspiring presentation this morning. And again, the honorees, thank you so much. Your contributions make our city and our world a better place for all. I'd like to quote one of my husband, Philip's, favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it leans towards justice. So thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see all of you again next year.